going to see non-recursive predictive parsing, or a parser, how it works. So we have seen recursive descent parsing, right, algorithm, wherein for each non-terminal recursively, it keeps calling the same function back to derive, I mean, with backtracking or without backtracking. It chooses the productions and it keeps applying it. This is the table-driven one, and it uses a stack for holding the intermediate sentential forms or the non-terminals on the stack while deriving at the input string. So it basically has the input buffer, right? So wherein you are putting the input string, you are holding the input string to which you have to find out whether it is matching with the given grammar. It can be derived by the given grammar or not. Dollar, as usual, it's an end marker for the input. Now you have the parsing algorithm here. Both top-down and bottom-up parsers are in a similar way, only the construction of parsing table will differ. Okay, so you have a stack which holds the grammar symbols, and of course the dollar represents the empty stack. So you have W, X, Y, Z, all these are non-terminals. Then you have the parsing table built. Okay, so the parsing algorithm, you have the input pointer pointing to the leftmost character because we are using LL1, right? So it reads from the left, so it points to the first character of the given string, and it checks the top of the stack. If the top of the stack is the non-terminal W, it makes the parsing decision based on the table constructed like this, the parsing table from W. How do I reach A? Can I reach A? Okay, what is there from W to A? What is the production which I have to apply? It refers the parsing table, the parsing algorithm. If at all, if it is, you know, having a match, if you get the match, it outputs it, or the action which it has taken, whether the match is there or which production it has applied, it can, you know, optionally output that. Now, once it finds, that means on top of the stack, if you get A as a terminal while doing this, you know, leftmost derivation, then there is a match. What it does is it moves the input pointer to the next position to read, and then pops that terminal out of the stack. Okay, so always remember the stack should hold the grammar symbols, not non-terminals, but not the terminals. Whenever it gets a terminal on top of the stack, if it is matching or not matching, only two cases will be there. Not matching when there is an error, matching when there is a proper, it has to be a matching one. Until it finds an error, like if you start with E to go to ID, you start from E, TE dash, then from D, FT dash, then from F, you get an ID. So till you get an ID, all this TE dash and FT dash will be pushed on top of the stack. So once you get an ID on top of the stack, because F will be replaced with ID, right? So you will get ID on top of the stack that is popped out and put it onto the output stream saying it is matched. Okay, that is how the predictive parser works. We'll take an example on this grammar, like ID plus ID star ID. All of you, I think you should have the leftmost derivation already done. You can see on top of the stack, what are the symbols which we are moving. All those sentential forms are with respect to leftmost derivation only. Each step you can see. Okay. So the formal notation of how the predictive parsing algorithm works, you can refer the book. I will explain with the example itself, so that it is the same thing is there in the formal notation in the book. What happens if the terminal comes? What happens if there is no error? What happens if there is entry in the table, but it cannot derive the given string? All those conditions are there. Okay. Until you remain with the dollar and the stack and also in the input buffer, until then the parser algorithm keeps reading and doing this leftmost derivation. Once it gets, that means the input is fully read and there are no symbols on top of the stack. That means it is completely derivable. So it says that there is a success. Otherwise, even if you have some symbols remaining in the input buffer or on top of the stack, then it is a error case. Okay, we'll see how to come out of the error in those cases in error recovery, panic mode, error recovery procedure. So now, as of now, we'll see how the given input string is parsed. Okay. So same thing we are going to use. So I will write, there should be one input, right, to represent the input buffer. Then I need to have stack to show the stack movements. Then there is something called as mashed. So this will show what are all the strings we have mashed till now during these steps. Then an action or a output. Okay. What is the action which we have taken, right? Now, first in the input buffer, what we have ID plus ID star ID with a dollar. Okay. So just separate them so that it's easy. Okay, on top of the stack, you have dollar. The first thing the parser does is the starting symbol of the grammar is moved on top of the stack. What is the starting symbol of the grammar? E. Yes, E is pushed on top of the stack. Okay, that is where it starts. Now there is no match, nothing. The action is also not yet taken. So this is the starting point for the parser. This is called as the parser table, which shows the movement of the parser while parsing this using the parsing table. So don't get confused between parsing table and the parser table. Parser table always shows the movements of the parser. Parsing table is for making the parsing decisions. Okay, now your input pointer is pointing to ID. Top of the stack, we have E. Now it refers the parsing table, the parser algorithm. In the previous diagram you have seen, you can just imagine that. So it refers the parsing table, what to do next. So on top of the stack, we have E, and on the input symbol, input pointer is pointing to ID. So now to reach ID, I have to apply E on ID. What is the production which I have to go with? There is a entry in the parsing table. So it will take this production. Okay. So what it does is the input pointer is still pointing to ID plus ID star ID, and you have a dollar. E, from E, I have to replace E with TE dash. Okay, this dollar is representing the bottom of the stack. So it pops out E, and based on the parsing table entry, TE dash is again pushed on top of the stack. Mashed is still nothing. What did we do? So it outputs that it has used E. So it's an optional printing statement. So E given TE dash. Okay. Now the input pointer is still at ID because we haven't found any match yet. So top of the stack is T. Okay. Now refer the passing table. Top of the stack is T on ID. Okay. I have to use this production. So ID plus ID star ID dollar. So T is replaced with FT dash based on the table. FT dash. E dash is remaining as it is. I'm not touching it. Only T is popped out and pushed FT dash. So match does nothing. What did we do? We used T giving FT dash. Okay. Now input pointer is at ID. Top of the stack is F. Again, look up the table. F on ID. We have to use this production. So ID plus ID star ID dollar. Now F is replaced with what is the production? F giving ID. So ID, T dash as it is, E dash as it is, and a dollar. Match is nothing. What we have done, we have used F giving ID. Okay, now you see the input pointer is pointing to ID. Top of the stack is ID. That is a terminal now. So what do? The input pointer is moved to the next position because there is a match. So plus ID is remaining. Don't think that from the input buffer it is removed. Only the pointer is moved to the next position. Okay, so now it will be pointing to plus. Now this is the ID is popped out of the stack because I cannot have terminals on top of the stack. Or there is a match rather. In bottom passing, you might get some terminals on top of the stack in between. So if there is a match with the input pointer and the top of the stack, always it looks only on top of the stack. Remember that. So there is a match. So I have popped out. T dash E dash dollar is remaining. So I will put it onto the matched column. So what is the action? It's a match on ID. Okay. Now what is there on top of the stack? It is T dash. The input pointer is pointing to plus. Now tell me from T dash, how do I reach plus?
T dash on epsilon.
So plus ID star ID is still there, dollar. T dash I'm replacing with epsilon. So E dash, dollar, and ID. And the production which I have used is T dash giving epsilon. Okay. Now, on top of the stack, you just ignore the null string. It is a null string. So what is the non-terminal which is on top of the stack? It is E dash. E dash on plus. E dash on plus. I have plus TE dash, right? So plus ID star ID dollar, and I'm replacing E dash with plus TE dash dollar, and matched is only ID yet. So output is E dash giving plus TE dash. Okay, now you see the input pointer is pointing to plus and the top of the stack is plus. That is a match. So move your input pointer, ID star ID. Plus is there, pop it out. So you are remaining with TE dash and I get ID and a plus. So I got a match for plus. Okay, so these are matchings which I have found. Then the input pointer is pointing to ID, top of the stack is T. So from T, how do I reach ID? From the table, it is FT dash. So ID star ID dollar, FT dash, E dash dollar. So it is ID plus output is T giving FT dash. Okay. Now, top of the stack is ID, top of the stack is F. Input pointer is pointing to ID. From F on ID, it is F giving ID. So you have ID star ID dollar, replace F with ID, T dash E dash as it is. I have ID plus, what is there? Output F giving ID. I'll have to erase a few things here. So top of the stack is ID and input is pointing to ID. So that is a match. What do? You move the input pointer to the next symbol. I remain with star ID, dollar. Stack, I have to pop out ID. So I remain with T dash, E dash and a dollar. Matched, I place that removed one. So ID comes here. So there is a match on ID, right? Now the input pointer is pointing to star. Top of the stack is T dash. So from T dash on star, you have to take star FT dash, right? So star ID dollar, star FT dash. T dash I've replaced with star FT dash. E dash remains as it is. ID plus ID. So what did I use? I used T dash giving star FT dash. Now you see top of the stack and the input pointer are matching. So I remain with ID, FT dash E dash dollar. Okay. So now what happens? I have to place the matched one, the popped one over here. So there is a match on star. Now top of the stack is ID, top of the stack is F, the input pointer is ID. So refer the table F on ID, it is F giving ID, that production I have to use. So ID dollar, ID T dash E dash dollar, ID plus ID star. So I've used F giving ID. Okay. Now what next? Top of the stack and the input symbol is matching. So move the pointer. Now only the dollar is remaining. ID is popped out. You have T dash, E dash, and dollar on top of the stack. So the popped out ID is replaced over here. Then I say there is a match on ID. So I've removed it. Now, top of the stack is T dash. You cannot stop it here. okay, because the input symbols are completed. The stack is still not empty. Okay, so T dash on dollar. What is the production? Yes. So what you do, you replace T dash with epsilon. E dash is there, dollar. The matched is ID plus ID star ID. So we have used, you have used what? You have used T dash giving epsilon. Now on top of the stack is E dash. E dash on dollar is epsilon again. So you replace E dash with epsilon, ID plus ID star ID, and you have E dash giving epsilon. So now you see you have dollar in the stack and also in the input. So this, it says, the parser stops here and says successfully passed. And the input string is accepted. Okay. Just go through once. If you have any doubts, you can discuss. So always start your parser table with the input. See, you start with the full input string on the input buffer, but at the end it will be there. It should be there in the matched. If you have to say that it is accepted, because the whole string has to be parsed. That is the meaning of parsing. Okay. If you write LMD, the same series of steps you have followed on top of the stack, isn't it? The same LMD is there. The series of replacements you would have done while doing LMD. If for not to get confused when you are solving the problem, what you can do is you can try with this trick that you first write down the LMD so that you don't go wrong anywhere in the stack. But don't, if your parsing table is not correct and you still write the parser table, you will not get the marks, okay? Because the parsing table also I will check. It has to be proper, then only you will get these decisions. Don't just write LMD on top of the stack and the input symbols randomly and say it is matched and successfully passed. That also I've seen. Even the parsing table is not correct, you will get the successfully passed one. That's not correct. Okay?
Ma'am? Ma'am, suppose the string cannot be derived from the given grammar, then what will happen? Like, will we not get dollar in both of them? Or?
Yeah, in either stack you will have the non-terminals remaining, or in the input you will have the non-terminals, the terminals remaining. One of them won't be dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at recovery strategies, we'll see the types of errors, because if we talk during parsing, you see empty cells, right? So suppose if a erroneous string is there, like this, so it leads to one of the empty cells. Now that is the problem with the parsing table of top-down parsing, because you have to fill up those tables. So whenever you have red plus, so if you can just derive the parser table for this string, you'll get to know that you will be led to one of the entries wherein you cannot go further. Okay, that is the error. So you cannot go further. It halts there, it hangs there. So we have to perform a error recovery strategy. If you can remember, I had discussed phrase level, panic mode, and all those things. Phrase level is you have to fill up the empty cells with a function for that error, which can print that okay, you have an error over here and exit from there. That is phrase level. Panic mode is you just skip the symbol, note it down that there is an error, go to the next symbol. Anyways, ID plus ID can be generated from the given grammar. That is correct. Okay, that is panic mode. You just move your pointer to the next one. You just skipping. There are methods in which we discuss in detail the panic mode recovery. I will tell you how to do it. I talked about synchronization tokens, right? So all those things I will do it. In one more was error productions, right? So you fill up all the empty cells with the erroneous productions and try to recover from the error. That is also possible. Okay, so erroneous strings, I will take an example when I'm discussing error recovery strategy. So together with that, it will be dealt. Any other questions?
Ma'am, suppose there is some other terminal on top of the stack. What do we do in that case?
Yeah, that is what the panic mode, the error recovery strategy you have to apply.
So
And
we
do it.
just go on proceeding in the pointer in the input side.
So the question might be, check whether the given input string can be generated from the passed from the given grammar or not using the top-down parsing method. So you have to go with this. If at all, if you cannot go further, you can say there is an error.
Okay.
If they say perform error recovery strategy or show error recovery strategy for the input string given, then you have to perform the error recovery strategy. Otherwise, you can say, because one of the either input will have symbols or stack will have symbols. You cannot go further. With the empty stack and input symbol, if at all if it is there, then you can say that there is an error because you don't have dollar in both the input and stack.
Okay.
Or you can take up this. Just take the string, use the parsing table, and try to derive the parsing table. All of you will get to know what I'm trying to talk. Take this input string. Yes, somebody had some question.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. So suppose when we are deriving and we do not get, I mean, for the terminal and the top of the stack symbol, we don't get any production. Do we stop deriving and say it is not possible, or
Yes.
that's
Yes, you have to stop at that time because it's not possible, right? Not
or
possible.
we, I mean, no, we cannot, cannot use any other production and try to derive.
No, because there is a single entry in the table. You cannot go with anything else. So top of the stack, whatever the non-terminal is there, and you reach at a terminal, and the input pointer is not matching. That means there is an error in the string. It cannot be generated by the given grammar. It's just that. That's all.
Okay. And ma'am, okay, nothing. That's all.
So you derive, you write the parser table for this string. You'll get to know what I'm trying to talk. Okay, let me take it up here only. All of you should do it. I know all of you are hungry, but still you have to do it because after that you can have your meal. Okay, come on. So ID plus star ID and a dollar. Top of the stack you have E pushed. So I'll go pretty faster. E on ID does TE dash. So ID plus star ID. Till you derive ID, you don't have any problems because from E you can go at ID, that is possible. Till here you can derive. Quickly do it. TE dash dollar. E is giving TE dash. Then ID plus star ID dollar. T is replaced with T on ID is FT dash. So FT dash, E dash dollar. T is replaced with FT dash. ID plus star ID dollar. F is replaced with ID. T dash E dash dollar. So F giving ID. Then there is a match. So plus star ID dollar. You have popped out. Then put it into matched. So match. Okay, plus and T dash on plus it's epsilon. So plus star ID dollar epsilon ID. So T dash giving epsilon. Then you have T dash on plus. So plus T dash E dash dollar ID. E dash is giving plus T
plus P dash.
Plus T dash, sorry. Okay. And this is also. So now plus is matching. You have star ID dollar plus is removed TE dash ID plus match on match on plus. Now T on star. Do you have an entry? You can't go further. So you can stop here and say from T you don't have an entry for star in the table. Okay. So if at all they ask you to show the error recovery strategy, then it is skipped. That I will tell you how to do it when we are discussing panic mode recovery strategy. Otherwise, if it is a plain check whether the given string can be generated from the given grammar or not using the top-down parsing method, then you can just say that there is no entry from T to star, so the parser stops here, halts here, and says that there is an error. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now I will give you a grammar as a homework and a string. All of you should write it. The grammar is S giving 0 S1. Take it 0 1 as the grammar, and the string is 0 0 0 1 1 1 is the string. So you have to write the parser table for this. Show whether the given grammar is it can be generated. The string can be generated from the given grammar or not.